Okay, so we love a good thought experiment on this show, and you guys definitely delivered with this one. We're going deep on AI oracles today. Ultimate questions, the whole shebang. You know,
I'm excited to dive in.
right? So imagine this. You get to ask an all-knowing AI just one question. What's it going to be? Like, no pressure, but the fate of humanity could be riding on this thing.
It's a fascinating premise, and you didn't just posit it, you put it to the test.
Using perplexity.ai.
I did.
Okay.
Because seriously, how often do we get to peek behind the curtain like that with a powerful AI? And the cool part is Perplexity. AI didn't just spit out an answer. It actually went through a bunch of different questions first, almost like it was really thinking it through. Which, honestly, is kind of cool, but also kind of creepy if you dwell on it too long. Well, it speaks to the complexity of what we're dealing with here. These aren't just lines of code. These systems are designed to sort of, mimic human reasoning, maybe even surpass it, which is a whole other can of worms.
Totally. So to understand how Perplexity AI landed on its final answer, we kind of have to walk through some of the other contenders, right?
Right, like reverse engineering a masterpiece. We start with the runner-ups, so to speak, and that helps us get inside the AI's thought process.
Okay, so contender number 1, curing all diseases. Now, on the surface, that seems like a no-brainer, right? Sign me up. No more cancer, no more Alzheimer's.
Yeah, of course. It's a goal that resonates with our human desire to alleviate suffering. But what's so interesting is that Perplexity AI seemed to recognize that such a seemingly perfect solution might actually have, limitations.
Yeah. It's like, is that really getting to the core of the issue, or are we just putting a Band-Aid on a much bigger problem? You know what I mean?
Exactly. A Band-Aid, right. We could cure every disease out there today, but does that stop new ones from popping up? And what about those underlying causes? It's like, are we just kicking the can down the road?
Right. So maybe curing disease is a bit too, short-sighted. So what about this one? The nature of reality. That was another question. Perplexity.ai kicked around. Are we in a simulation? Is this all just a dream? Pretty mind-blowing, but then what? Where do we go with that knowledge to really help us in any practical sense?
I mean, it's a question that's haunted philosophers and scientists for centuries, right? Like, unveiling the true nature of reality could completely upend our understanding of, everything. But would that knowledge solve our immediate problems? Would it equip us to handle climate change or social injustice? That's what makes the AI's line of reasoning so fascinating, I think.
It's like, okay, finding out if we're in the Matrix would be cool and all, but I'm still worried about the very real, very non-simulated problems we've got going on down here. And actually, speaking of those problems, those were on the table too. Perplexity.ai considered asking about achieving world peace or, single-handedly solving climate change. I mean, we're talking major existential threats, right? Like humanity's future is on the line.
Yeah, and that's what I think makes the AI's final choice so interesting. It seems like it recognized that those issues, as huge as they are, might actually stem from an even deeper lack of understanding. Like there's something more fundamental missing.
So it's going big picture. But how? What could possibly be more important than world peace or curing every disease? This is where I'm guessing the AI goes full-on oracle mode.
Oh, yeah. And the question it landed on, well, let's just say it's a doozy.
Okay, you built the suspense enough. Yeah. Hit us with it. What's the question that won Perplexity AI's existential inquiry showdown?
All right, buckle up. The question Perplexity.ai landed on is this. What is the most important information or knowledge that humanity currently lacks, which, if known, would have the greatest positive impact on our long-term survival, development, and flourishing as a species?
Okay, yeah. That's a mouthful, but I think I see where Perplexity.ai is going with this. It's not about solving one specific problem. It's more about finding the thing, the knowledge, I guess, that unlocks all the other solutions.
Exactly. It's not about symptoms. This is going for the root cause. What's the one knowledge gap that's holding humanity back? That's what it's trying to figure out.
Right. Going big picture, I get it. But I got to admit, the first time I read this question, I was kind of like, okay. It's so broad. Where do you even begin to answer something like that?
And that's what's so brilliant about it. It forces us to think about the sheer scope of everything we don't know. Imagine a giant jigsaw puzzle, right? We've got pieces for curing diseases, for world peace, even for understanding the universe. But we're missing that one crucial piece in the middle that connects it all, that shows us the full picture.
Okay, yeah, that analogy actually helps. We could be running around trying to force the wrong pieces together because we don't have that central understanding. So Perplexity.ai is basically saying, hold your horses, humans. Before you go building the future, Maybe figure out what's missing from your mental toolbox.
Exactly. And it gets even wilder because Perplexity AI didn't just leave us hanging with this giant question. It actually offered up an answer.
Wait, seriously, you gave an answer to that. Okay, now you have to tell me. What does Perplexity.ai say humanity is missing? Give me the AI oracle wisdom.
Okay, are you ready? This is where it gets really interesting. Perplexity.ai says the crucial information we're lacking is a comprehensive understanding of consciousness and its relationship to the physical universe.
Whoa. Okay, I did not see that coming. It's not what I would have guessed, but you gotta admit, it's pretty profound when you actually stop and think about it.
It is both kind of exciting and terrifying at the same time, right?
Huh?
Because if we could actually crack the code of consciousness, really understand how our subjective experience comes from the physical world, the possibilities are pretty much endless.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
But how do we even study something like consciousness? It's not something you can just put under a microscope.
That's the million-dollar question. But imagine if we could. Think about artificial intelligence. Right now, we have algorithms that can process information amazingly fast, but they don't really understand it the way we do. So what if the key to creating, like artificial general intelligence, AI that can truly think and reason like a person, what if that requires understanding consciousness itself?
Whoa, you're saying to build a better AI, we need to figure out our own minds first. That's kind of a trip.
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying. Understanding consciousness could totally change the game in a bunch of different fields. What else would this knowledge impact?
Tons of stuff. Like, think about mental health. We're still treating so many mental illnesses with medication and therapies that are really just addressing symptoms, not necessarily the root cause. What if a deeper understanding of consciousness could unlock completely new treatments for things like, I don't know, depression, anxiety, even schizophrenia, conditions that affect millions of people?
Right. Yeah, no kidding. Okay, so we've got AI, medicine, but Perplexity.ai also mentioned the relationship between consciousness and, like, the universe.
Yeah.
That's a whole other level.
This is where things get really wild. Because it suggests that maybe our understanding of the universe itself is actually shaped by consciousness. What if the way we experience reality, interact with the environment, even our impact on the planet? What if all of that is connected to how our consciousness works?
Okay, now my head is spinning. So you're saying maybe, just maybe, the key to solving climate change is inside our own minds.
It's a radical thought, right? But if our environmental problems come from a disconnect between our actions and how those actions affect the planet, then yeah, maybe we need to understand why we act the way we do, how those actions come from our consciousness in the first place.
Wow. We went from a fun what if to like full-on existential crisis pretty fast.
And that's the beauty of it, right? Sometimes the biggest insights come from asking the questions we think are impossible to answer.
No argument there.
Yeah.
But if understanding consciousness really is the key to everything, where do we even start? It just seems so, I don't know, intangible, almost impossible to grasp. Is this AI just sending us down a rabbit hole? It really does feel like, as you said earlier, we don't even know what we don't know when it comes to this stuff. Like, consciousness is so fundamental to who we are. How do you even step outside of it to study it?
Right. It's a total paradox. We're experiencing consciousness every second of every day, but it's still this huge mystery. Science, philosophy, nobody's totally cracked the code. But, maybe we don't need all the answers right away. Maybe just asking these questions, really digging into the nature of consciousness, that could lead us to some amazing discoveries, even if we don't expect it.
So it's more like a guiding principle then. Like you said, a guiding star, not a literal roadmap. This AI oracle is pointing us in a direction, even if it can't tell us every step to take.
Exactly. And think back to those other questions Perplexity.ai was considering. Curing all diseases, world peace.
Yeah.
Those are massive goals, obviously. But maybe, and I'm just throwing this out there, maybe those are more like tackling the symptoms, not the disease itself, What if understanding consciousness is the key to actually solving those problems for good?
Okay, I see where you're going with this. We understood how our minds work on that deep level, how we make decisions, how we connect with each other, how we see the world around us, then maybe we'd have a shot at actually fixing things like conflict or environmental damage, get to that root cause, like you were saying.
Right. Imagine if we could design technology that was truly aligned with our values, because we actually understood those values on a deeper level. Or if we could foster empathy and understanding between people from totally different backgrounds, because we finally grasped that fundamental interconnectedness of consciousness. These huge, almost utopian ideas.
Mhm.
But it shows you how powerful this knowledge could be.
So it's like Perplexity AI is saying the biggest problems facing humanity, they aren't just out there in the world, they're also happening inside our own heads.
Mm.
And we have to figure that part out if we want to build a better future.
And that's a powerful message. Like, don't just look outward, look inward. We explore space with such intensity, but what about the inner space of our own minds? There's a whole universe in there.
That is a perfect note to end on. This whole deep dive has been a trip. We started with this simple question: what would you ask an all-knowing AI? And somehow we ended up on this wild ride through consciousness and what it means for humanity's future. My brain is officially fried.
Mine too. This is one of those conversations that sticks with you, I think.
Definitely. And we want to hear what you think. What did you make of Perplexity.ai's answer? Is understanding consciousness the ultimate key? Or are we way off in the weeds here? Head to our social media. Let us know your take. This is a big one to chew on. Thanks for joining us for this mind-blowing deep dive, everyone.